everybody, today I thought I would do a Q&A on cabin crew as there are so many questions. So I thought to myself, I did ask in my last video if everybody would write some questions, and I promised I would get back. So I actually wanted to do this video with my sister, who's also cabin crew, but she is so busy at the moment, so unfortunately we couldn't get her to come, so it's just me, I'm afraid. But I definitely will be doing a video with her, sort of like a sister cabin crew tag. So if you have any ideas which you want us to do together, then let me know in the comments below, and I'm sure that we could collab on something and do something really cool, so we could get a different perspective, because we both fly for big airlines, but very different airlines. Okay, back to the Q&A. So I listed quite a few questions down, and I just thought today I'm just going to make sure that I answer them all for you. I also really want to apologise for my boring, very boring background. I'm actually having the nursery decorated at the moment as I'm pregnant, and the space is a bit hectic, so I had to find somewhere that I could just creep into and film, otherwise I just knew I would never get around to doing it. Okay, so let's crack on with the questions. Like I said, these questions I've pulled just from the YouTube comments, which I found on all of my videos. So there might be a few questions which I haven't answered. If I haven't, and it's something that you're really like a burning desire to know, comment below on this video, and obviously I can do like a part 1 and part 2, because there's always going to be questions. So one question that definitely stood out for me was the maternity question. I actually did a maternity piece for my advantages and disadvantages of being crew, and for some reason I don't know where it went or what happened to it, but it wasn't in the actual video that I filmed. So in terms of maternity, so you aren't allowed to fly as crew if you are pregnant, and that's with immediate effect. So it just depends on what airline. I know with my airline, as soon as you're pregnant, it's just not worth the risk, and you do not fly. Obviously you can fly up to a certain stage as a passenger, but I think the main reason why we can't fly as cabin crew whilst pregnant is just for insurance purposes, health and safety, and also they say it's like the pulling and tugging of the trolleys, and also if there's turbulence, etc. I just don't think any company would want a legal suit if something bad was to happen. You're grounded with immediate effect, and depending on where you live, your company will have different procedures. So if your company has a travel agent, you might be asked to go and work in a travel agent, but mainly you're sort of restricted to ground duties only. So that might be like check-in or working in the airport. It's not obviously the most fun, because you're not allowed to fly anywhere. Obviously you are definitely allowed to fly as a passenger, but you're just not allowed to fly as crew. So as soon as you find out you are pregnant, you are grounded. In terms of pay, it definitely just depends on the company, once again, that you are working for, but you are paid, as far as I'm aware, you're paid a basic wage, and then sort of like a groundly rate. So you're still getting paid quite a bit. So after I have the baby, I will then be on full pay for a few months, and then go down onto statutory maternity pay, which is just like state pay. So it's definitely worth having a little look at your maternity packages if you have flown or want to fly, and see what you're entitled to when you are pregnant. And so the next question was, leading on from this question, was am I going to go back to flying? I definitely want to try and go back to flying, yeah, but it all just depends on how it's all going to go. I do not see a reason which would not make me go back, but you just never know in life, do you? However, I definitely miss the tan. I've never been so pale, and the social side of things. It's, you know, very, I'm still awaiting placement at the moment, because I obviously live in Bournemouth, so I work at Gatwick. So it's a bit of a drive. I'm still waiting placement for them to put me somewhere. So at the moment, it can be quite lonely, and definitely a massive change from being sociable and away 5 days a week to at home every single day. Okay, another question that keeps popping up on like every single video is about tattoos. Now, everyone has noticed this tattoo on my wrist, and they also have been like, hey, how come you have tattoos? And in requirements it states you can't have tattoos for the majority of cabin crew. You have to be able to cover them up. in terms of like this one here, it's quite easy to cover up because I could wear a long sleeved shirt, although that can be quite annoying when I go on a long haul destination because it would be really, really hot, and then I would be like, oh, so hot, but then, you know, it covers it and it looks professional. I also have a watch that fits perfectly around this so that it doesn't actually show. You can cover them up, however, some companies do not like you covering them up with a plaster. Some companies are absolutely fine with a plaster. It just once again depends on what airline that you work for. If you have a very visible tattoo, I know companies, and actually I know companies, and I know that the company that also I work for has asked people to have them removed. So just bear that in mind. Obviously, honesty is the best policy in these cases, but if it's a small tattoo which can be easily covered, I just think cover it. I just wanted to say a quick little thing quickly, that a company does have the right to sack you if you are lying over something like that. So honesty is the best policy. If you are thinking about getting a tattoo and you do want to fly, I would strongly hold off getting anything which is visible in terms of feet, ankles, wrists, arms, necks. The next question that I got was the main requirement when applying for cabin crew. So they look for very sociable, outgoing people who excel in customer service, which is a massive, massive thing. They look for people that are extremely good with the public and dealing with complaints and problems. You are an ambassador for a company, and that's what they want to see. They want to see that you are able to be professional and smile and rectify a problem. I'd say that probably is the biggest requirement for cabin crew, is just making sure that you are friendly and that you can talk to a wide range of people from different cultures and countries from all around the world. So I think when you're applying for cabin crew, if you want to become cabin crew, then definitely you should think about this. And if you aren't really a people person, then I really don't think that cabin crew is the job for you. Only because you are faced with so many different types of people, and in my last video, advantages and disadvantages, you can watch all about that and see what I mean by that. So yeah. So I'd say that the main requirement is to be extremely bubbly, sociable, and also have great customer service. The next question is, how long did it take me to study and to become cabin crew? So there are certain cabin crew courses through travel and tourism you can do at college. I'm talking too fast. Right, when I left school, I had no idea what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be. And to be honest with you, I also think there's a massive pressure for young people to, you know what they want to do. When I know 50, 60-year-olds, they still don't know what they want to do. They just, dab their hand in everything, and it sort of works. And I was exactly the same. So when I left school, I went to college and I studied BTEC Media Studies. I was not great at it, but I did. And then after that, or through that, I was also training to do makeup. So that was like my sort of bit on the side. I never really thought of that as a career. Now my sister started flying and she was working for a big airline and she absolutely loved it. And I just thought to myself, well, why can't I do something like that? And I applied for this company that I'm working with now and was very fortunate to get through first time. The qualifications of which they wanted were typical GCSEs. However, I just want to stress to you all that they didn't actually check these grades. So if you don't have a GCSE, I just think to myself that a lot of people don't fly because of this, and that is not what it's about. It's not all about maths and English and science GCSEs C or above. So when I applied to become cabin crew, I remember I applied in like the October. I got a letter through for an assessment day and I booked that for the November, and I got the job a couple of weeks later. And I remember by the time it all processed and I had time to sort my referencing out and finish my job that I was working at, it was April. So I started in April. And from that, it's then 6 weeks of intense training, of which you go through emergency drills like and safety and medicine and customer service, etc., which your company will provide for you. So it's just a 6 weeks training. A lot of people I know actually go to cabin crew courses, and This is through college. My sister actually did one, and it's really good because it sort of gives you a like an upper hand in a way, but it is not essential. So don't think to yourself that the only way you're going to become a cabin crew is if you have this course, because I know so many people that have not even heard of this course and have got in absolutely fine. Another question is, do you get paid for training? And the answer is yes, of course you get paid for training. Some airlines put you up in hotels for some don't, so you have to also take into consideration that you might have to stay in a hotel or stay in a house share for the training. I know there's so many lovely couples or singles who advertise, you know, their house with a bedroom for cabin crew who are training. So the whole 6 weeks you can stay there for something, I think it's like £18 a night, and it's really, really fun really, because usually crew get to stay together. If not, stay in a hotel. I stayed in a hotel for the 6 weeks. I stayed in the Travelodge, and also I stayed at my friends that I'd made on my course as well, and that was just really, really nice. One bit of advice that I would give though, if you are starting to train, you might not get paid until like a further advance, so a month in advance. So the best thing that I would say is have some money behind you if you can, just so that you are not really, really struggling by the time you get paid, because it might be like a month before you get paid or 6 weeks before you get paid and you have nothing. So make sure you have a little bit of money behind you, or anyone that can help out if you need it. Now another question was, do your ears hurt and pop on the plane? I've actually never suffered from my ears, touch wood, so for me it was never, or has never ever been an issue. However, I do know crew have had problems. The main thing that you'd have to definitely be careful about flying, and your company states this as well, if you have any form of ear infection or sore ears, cold, etc., you are not allowed to fly. And that is, you know, and such an important thing, because you could burst your eardrum, and that's excruciating, and it also means you're off work for a very, very long time. When you're crew, you're sustainable to a lot of bacteria, and although your immune system becomes extremely strong when you're in the air, you know, you're still going to get colds and flus, etc., and pick up bad viruses from, you know, dirty water when you're abroad, and different food and etc., which your body's just not used to, and that's just as it happens really. So in terms of your ears, my ears, if I have some sort of cold, they can be quite temperamental, but you just take your cold and flu tablets, and obviously if they feel like they are really bad, then you just do not fly under any circumstance. So this question made me smile, and it was, is it easy to keep a relationship in flying? And this question is asked so much. So when I began to fly, Rich and I were together, but we weren't going through a very, very good patch. And I truly believe, and I say to everybody, that if it wasn't for flying, then Rich and I wouldn't have been together. I think it was definitely a struggle at the beginning, especially as we were used to spending 24/7 together, and then all of a sudden I was away. The most important thing is having trust, and you know, it can be really, really difficult, and I can see it from both sides. Like, cabin crew is a fun job, however it also is a very, very lonely job as well. Watch my previous videos for all of that. So in a way it can be quite a hard one to talk to your other halves about, because you might turn around and be like, oh my god, I've had a terrible flight, but all he or she sees is you sitting on a beach getting drunk and having a really, really good time. So it can be quite strange in that respect. And also jealousy issues, they're going to be there, of course they are. I mean, unless you do the job, you will not understand, and I know that my other half didn't understand until he came away with me, and then that's when he was like, I get it. So take them away with you, because I definitely suggest that. There's also massive, massive benefits to it as well. Like, you can take them away and, you know, go on to these amazing destinations, etc. I would say, do not stress about making a relationship work, but unless you're 100% certain, because if you are with somebody who's gonna support you through it all, then they will stay. Rich and I actually had a little bit of a break when I first started flying, just because we weren't really 100% getting on, etc. And I think I just needed space, and I changed so much from the transition of not being crew to crew. You just grow up so much and become so independent as a person. So our relationship works so well, and it's been so strange being pregnant and being off, because all of a sudden I'm home 24/7, and that was the main thing which affected our relationship in the first place. But you know, we're two completely different people now from when I first started flying, and you know, I love being at home with him, but at the same time it is what it is with your relationship, and if you want to make it work. A lot of people say it's a single person's job, but I don't agree with that at all. There's so many people in a relationship flying, and I think if you just come to a mutual understanding, you explain to them exactly what's going on, exactly what happens, and then there's no reason at all why a relationship wouldn't work. Another question is, do we work every day, and how many days do we have off? No, you do not work every single day. Bloody hell, you'd be absolutely knackered. So at my company, you have to have 1 day off in 6 or 2 days off in 14. So a typical roster for me would be something, or what I used to bid would be, I would bid for a short haul on Monday, because I do short and long haul mixed together. It's probably just giving it away who I work for. But I do short and long haul, and on the Monday, say I would do a there and back, which I'd just do like a small Europe trip, and then on the Tuesday I would do a long haul. And what I would do is, so I would do probably like a 4-day 2-night trip on the Tuesday, which would get me back the Friday. So I'd be away Monday to Friday. This was just the way I did it and what I like to do, because with flying, the more you do in terms of trips, the longer trips, you get paid more. So I used to like doing the longer trips because I'd be paid more. It just depends. You have a bidding system when you fly, and you can bid for exactly what you like. If you prefer short haul and you just want to be home every night because you only live a couple of minutes from the airport, or like half an hour from the airport, then that's what you bid for. If you prefer, you know, you want to be away all the time and you enjoy those really long trips, then you just bid for long trips. It's completely up to you. It completely depends on the company that you work for. So I would do that, and then after that I would have 2 days off. Now each destination that you go to triggers off a certain amount of days, also the length of the trip as well, and the length of the flight. So certain trips, I know that if we went east, that would trigger off a time zone of I think 6 hours or more behind or in front. It would trigger 3 days off after a flight. But the majority of flights that we did would just trigger off 2 days. So I would mainly have probably Saturday, Sunday off, get back Friday morning really early, and then have all of Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And that's the way I did my roster for quite a while, and that was quite successful and working quite nicely for me. Like I said, it just depends. But in terms of working, you can do up to 6 days, and then you are non-opt, which means you're non-operational and you can't fly, and also you can then it triggers off your days off, so you can't work legally more than 6 days. That is my company only. I know my sister's company, it's very, very strange that what they do, and I'm like, what? I don't get it. So each company is different, but you do not work every single day, and you just bid for what you want to do. So this question was, how do you even be an air hostess? Which is such a good question, because I wouldn't have had a bloody clue if it wasn't for people around me giving me advice. So if you want to become cabin crew, you need to really focus on exactly what airline or what routes that you want to do. Like I said, if you want to do a short haul route, then you need to look at the short haul airlines like EasyJet, Thompson, Monarch. You know, there's so many short haul airlines now that you can work for. So you need to look at those, research them, and also see what they want to do. Do Thompson even do short haul anymore? I'm not even sure. Okay, whatever. But you just look at the short haul airlines, you know, the ones that you would fly to. Say if you're going to Manchester, say if you're going to, you know, Edinburgh, Rome, anywhere like that where you would fly with. Those are your short haul airlines, so you're there and back. If you then want to work on a long haul aircraft, then those are your, you know, your Emirates, your Virgin, your BA, all of those sorts of airlines. So you need to have a look at the contrast of those airlines and figure out what you want to do. So what suits your lifestyle, what suits your, you know, you might be single and, you know, really want to travel the world and think to yourself, you know, I'd love to move to Dubai and work for Emirates, and that's amazing, like go for it. Or you might think to yourself, you know, I only want to do long haul, so I'm going to apply for Virgin Atlantic, and you look amazing in red, so go for Virgin. Or if you want to do a mixture between two, then work for BA, and there's Thompson and Thomas Cook, and there's so many airlines that you could go for. So it just depends on exactly what you want to do. So once you figure out which airline or what sort of like route flying you want to do, etc., then you can go onto the website of the particular company and then type in careers. Or if you just type into the search engine, like for example British Airways careers, it will come up for you, and then it will tell you whether or not application is open. If not, you can sign up for an email alert. Also, it's really good because you can have a little look online and look through interview questions. Another question here is, what happens if I have flying anxiety? Can I fly? Now, obviously flying anxiety is one of those things which is quite serious if you can't control it, or not personally you, but psychologically you just, you know, find it very, very difficult to fly. Now, I think if you do have really bad flying anxiety, then I would say flying probably isn't for you. I mean, you might get better, but I'm not a psychologist. I can't really say whether or not it's going to work or not. So I think that would just have to be a personal try, and if it doesn't work, you know, then at least you've tried. But if it does work, then, you know, you're cured, which is really, really good. But so anxiety is a hard one with flying because you're in a confined environment. It's like with anybody that has claustrophobia as well. You know, you're stuck in a vertigo or height. Sorry, Holly's here and she keeps walking around. I'm like, where's she going? Anybody that's scared of heights or got vertigo, that's obviously another one which is a bit tricky when you're like 30,000 feet in the air and in a confined environment. So I think if you do have any anxiety towards flying or heights, etc., then you should really, really have to think about whether or not you really do want to fly or not. Can you build a life? Now, of course, you can definitely build a life with flying. Sorry, Holly has come to say hello, everybody. She won't leave me alone this morning, so she's just sitting here. She'll probably want to go, so just ignore her. If you see her, yeah, of course, you can definitely build a life when flying. It is, I would say, more difficult if you are going abroad and flying, say, for Emirates, and you want to start a new life. Then you know, it's going to be a little bit different to build just like a normal life in the UK, because obviously you're not going to be in the country. But overall, yeah, you can definitely build a life flying. I would say that although you are away a lot, at the same time there's so many benefits and perks to it, so it sort of overrules it. And yeah, you can, there's so many people that are married and have children, etc., and you know, it's all good. Having children and flying. Now, a lot of people who want to fly, they might be older and, you know, their kids are grown up and they've just got to that stage in their life where they're like, you know, I want to do something for me. There are so many people that do that. So I think that if, you know, if you're watching and you have a mum that said like, oh, I really wanted to fly, then there is literally no age really restriction for flying. I know so many mums who, you know, are friends my age, between 25 and 30, whose mums are just like, do you know what, I'm gonna fly. And it's so refreshing to see when they do that, because, you know, why shouldn't they live their life now after you're all grown up, etc. So age restriction wise as well, you can fly up until really, well, even if you want to pass retirement, as long as you're sane and you know, it's something that you want to do. There's obviously part-time contracts which you can take, and like I said, you just need to check with your airline to see what part-time opportunities that they can give you. But overall, yeah, it's you can fly with children, and as long as you have like good daycare and childcare, and obviously if something goes wrong, you have somebody to fill in, like say for example a delay or a cancelled flight, you have somebody, you know, who is going to be able to support you and look after the kids if that does happen. Then I would say that there's no reason whatsoever that you can't fly, and anybody can do it. There's so many cabin crew who also do things on the side, like, you know, like I said, I do my makeup. You've got people studying law, psychology, personal trainers, you know, I've got a friend who is wanting to be an air traffic controller in she's crew, and that's so clever, like so many clever people. So I would say cabin crew is one of those things, if you want to travel the world, you want to meet loads of people, you want to get really good experience, definitely do it. It's great. Okay, so this is one question that I've wrote down, and it says what to write on the first application online. So your application online consists of personal questions which just ask you about your height and tattoos, etc. And then you go more on to questions which might be about you and customer service, etc. So in terms of that, it's always very important to make sure that you are being honest, and you know, also you want to promote yourself, so don't be scared of being big-headed. There's definitely a difference between being confident and arrogant. So make sure that you're confident in yourself, that you can, you know, carry out these duties. If shit was to hit the fan, that you could, you know, get these people off an aircraft, and you're friendly and you can deliver customer service if someone's had a bad flight, and you're, you know, you can just give everybody a really nice flight. That's exactly what they want. But there's definitely a big thing about arrogance. You can almost big yourself up too much, that you come across as like superhuman. And you know, with crew we meet so many people, so we can sort of sniff out the people that, you know, are all chatting shit basically. The next question on that is, do a lot of 18-year-olds get picked? And yeah, of course, a lot of 18-year-olds get picked. It really just depends on the person that you are. They haven't got like a set criteria of like, we want 35 blokes and 70 female, or 70 blokes and 35 female, and those have got to be, 10 of them have got to be blonde, 5 have got to be redhead, 10 have got to be, you know, purple, whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the criteria is, as long as you are friendly, bubbly, approachable, confident, and also good at excelling customer service, then you are that right person for crew. So the next question that leads on to that is how to make yourself stand out. And the way to do that is, just like I said, just make sure that you are confident. And if you are shy and you do have anxiety, like on the day, like I'm not great in interview situations, like speaking, which is really weird talking in a video, but speaking to, like, say a group of people, like doing the demo, I'm shocking at. I hate doing it. I'd rather talk over the PA. But face to face, I used to get very nervous. And you don't have to panic about that, because everybody knows that you're going to be nervous. Everyone knows that what it's like in an interview situation. So to make yourself stand out, just be yourself. Just, you know, if you have a funny side, bring that out. And also, there's no harm in saying, look, I'm so nervous, because it's human. You're only human. If you go in like really confident, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this job, then they're gonna be like, why should you get this job? Like, you're just so cocky and arrogant. So just be yourself, and don't worry, nerves are a good thing. Okay, so I'm gonna end it there with those questions. Those are the ones that mainly stood out to me at the moment. And then the next set, what I'll do is, any more questions, make sure you list them below, and I will filter through. I've got so many questions. And also, I want to do my sister tag with my sister who's cabin crew as well, and then we can, you know, answer loads of questions for you, etc. with that. So any questions that you want to ask both of us, then you can just ask us. I think she's actually probably more inclined to say who she works for than me. So, but I will, all in good time. It will be revealed. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I answered as many questions as I could for you all. Sometimes it's quite difficult because, like I said, each company varies from different procedures and health and safety, etc. And so it just depends. But there is like probably like a standard guideline, so that's as much as what I can answer for you. But I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you like this video, make sure that you give it a like and a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel if you want to see anything else. And Instagram me at Tasha Parker RR, and also Twitter is exactly the same as that. All links will be in the box down below. But I hope you all enjoy your week, and take care. Bye.